Good evening, and if you're just tuning in, you are watching or you're listening to UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network. And this is the thing. I was going to say the thing at the foot of the bed. It's not. It's the Angel Rock. I got to get my shows straight here. Welcome, everybody. I can see you all in the chat already. We'll say hi to you as soon as we go through all the usual housekeeping that we do. My name's Lorilei Potvin. I'm the host of this show and a co-host of the second show that we started almost 2 years ago here on UPRN called The Thing at the Foot of the Bed at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which I co-host with my excellent, amazing friend, medium, David Hansel, and that's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't been here before, welcome. If you're returning, we love to have you here. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a Canadian psychic medium, crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher and mentor, registered nurse. I am also my mentor says I can't say budding, but an animal communicator. I used to say budding. I'm working on it. I'm well versed in near-death experiences, having had one as a toddler myself and have studied them professionally and personally for over 40 years. And I'm extremely well versed in the paranormal. I always say that we didn't go looking for it. It found us. And we've shared our story on the Travel Channel's Paranormal Survivor Season 4, Episode 9, called Demonic Hauntings. Now, if you like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell all your friends and family about our wonderful network. We stream multiple shows 7 days a week, daily. And when we're not streaming live, the archive server dips into the last 25 plus years and picks out randomly amazing shows from past and present. And we're always adding new hosts and new shows. So there really is something for everybody. I always tell you, it's not just paranormal. We have all kinds of hosts on this network. So please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to watch us on your TV, I have a checklist here for myself. I want to make sure, because sometimes I forget. If you guys want to watch us on TV, we do have a TV channel for the network, the Angel Rock, streaming there tonight. It's on Roku. And how you're going to find that, you're going to go into the channel store and you're going to look. You're going to type in UFO space P as in paranormal. We have a drop down list. There's about the third or fourth one down. You're looking for UFO space paranormal and United Public Radio. And that's us. And you can watch us on TV. Oh geez, my phone is, I told my wonderful guest and fellow host here tonight, if something strange will happen, it will happen on this show tonight, as you guys know, since we're going into spooky season. If you guys want to comment, 80% of our audience is audio only. We do stream to every country in the world, believe it or not. And I've got a lot of people listening, but we do have people that watch the show. I'm seeing Facebook is acting up again tonight. So our normal places where we normally stream may not be coming through for you. But if you want to comment and you're listening, you have to, if you see us on screen, you'll be able to comment. So some of the places you can go to are, it's not on UFO Paranormal Radio Network. Usually it is, you guys. It's not, it would not work for me today. We're working on that. But we are on UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network on YouTube. We're streaming to my YouTube channel, which is The Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin. We're streaming to my profile, Lorilei Potvin. It's public, so you don't even have to be on my friends list and you can comment. We are in Canada's Most Haunted. And I'm also streaming to Instagram on The Angel Rock. Hopefully it'll keep streaming for 2 hours, hopefully. But please don't think that we're ignoring you. If I don't address you over there, I'll try and pop back and forth to get to the comments. They don't integrate them with the rest of the comments here, but I will see you and I'll shout you out, because if you've been to this show or the Thursday night show, you know they're extremely very audience participative. I always tell my guests, you know what, we got the best audience. You guys ask the best questions, best comments. You guys are so kind to one another, and we really appreciate all of you. So thank you for tuning in. So I'm going to tell you about my guest. I have been so excited. What a way to, I got to get my glasses. What a way to kick off spooky season. Mind you, we've been celebrating since September, beginning of September, David and I in particular. So my guest is Father Shawn Whittington. He is a fellow UPRN host, and I'm going to go through his bio here. He's a cast member of Eli Roth Presents. My mouth does not want to work tonight, guys. I'm sorry. Eli Roth presents The Legion of Exorcists. If you have not seen it, you need to see it. I binge watched the whole series. My only complaint, and I was telling Father Shawn this, there wasn't enough episodes. He's also an ordained Catholic priest, an exorcist with the USOCC, a fully professed brother with the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary, team member with the Society of St. Benedict, and co-founder of www.ghost-b-gone.biz. And I put the hyphens in there because if you want to type it in, that's how you'll find it, as well as an author. And he does have his own amazing live show here on UPRN Fridays, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, called Father Shawn's Paranormal Ministry. Welcome, Father Shawn. Thanks for being patient.
I am so happy to be here. Usually, it's me getting ready to do my show, and
Yeah.
because I'm a beginner at it, you've been in the studio many times helping me. So, God bless you for that, for being behind the scenes and helping me
I
get through.
love doing it because I get to meet the newer hosts. Otherwise, because when Joe used to produce our shows, Joe Montaldo, I'll give him a shout out. He is broadcasting us from his house in New Orleans, and we used to meet people. But so I love whenever I get asked. I'm so grateful. But that's how I met you.
Absolutely, but I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I can't wait to have you on my show and put your feet to the fire. And I'm
Yeah.
an open book. Ask me anything you want to ask me, and
Well, let's say hi to everybody. We've got a lot of people saying hi to you and hi to me here. So we've got Heidi Grohl. Hello, she says, "Hello, beautiful soul," and much love from Boulder. Leslie 1266 says hello. Z Sun Dragon, or we call him Kevin, as I say, it's his muggle name. He's saying hi to you, hi to me, and hi to everybody there. We've got Connie Martins. She says hello, Lorilei and Father Shawn. And actually, Kevin said hi, Father Shawn. And then let's see. Oh, Leslie 1266 will highlight this comment. She says, "It's true, Father Shawn. She's been telling us all about you." And I have. I've been promoting you for the last 2 weeks. Because I think this is fantastic that you're on here. And you know what? I always start at the beginning with people. So how did you get involved with what you do today?
well, I've been seeing spirit since I was a young kid, and very young, and
Mhm,
it was pretty traumatic. I didn't know who to turn to
mhm,
and speak to about that issue. So obviously, I confided in my mother,
mhm,
and she even at a very young age, she broke it down to me pretty simple. Said, "Listen, I don't know how she knew this. I
mhm,
suspect she was probably more psychically gifted than she let on. But she said, you're going to see a lot of spirit in your life, and they're nothing to be afraid of. They're just people that don't have a body anymore. So if they appear to you, that's a bit of a gift, and you should ask them what it is they want of you. They may need your help with something or have a message for you. And if you're not so freaked out that you're able to, well, you're a little kid, you're freaked out no matter
Of
what. But
course.
when you
Yeah,
get
I
to the
remember.
point that you can ask those questions of them, great. If not, she said, just tell them that you can't help them and to please leave you alone, and they will.
Mhm.
But then she, without probably because she already knew I was quite freaked out, didn't want to delve into later on in life. She confided a little more in with me and in the things to watch out for. But early on, probably didn't want to freak me out even more than I was already freaked out. So, like, I was the kind of kid that was always bouncing off the walls. They had to
Mhm.
make sure I didn't have too much sugar or too much soda or whatever made me
You're born
bounce
with
off
a
the
lot of
walls.
energy.
And I remember like it was yesterday, we would have nap time, and
Mhm.
she would tell me, now when we take a nap, I'm going to get a real good hold of your leg, and I want you to grab a handful of my hair, and that way the bad things won't be able to take you from me while we're sleeping.
Okay.
Many, many years later in life, I realized what she was referring to because I saw things that were not that I knew weren't just regular old
Yeah.
disembodied human spirits. Didn't know what they were, but I saw things other than that. So I think that's what she was referring to. And so as I got older, you know, kids go through that stage where you your main concern in life is to fit in and have plenty of friends.
Right.
So that was my goal, but I also had this passion for like ghost hunting and ghost busting.
Okay.
So I was that weird kid when I wasn't around my friends. I went maybe 20 years or more in my life hiding that part of what I did because I didn't want my friends to think I was weirder than they already thought I was. But I was that weird kid when I wasn't with my friends. I'm riding around on my little Schwinn bike with the banana seat and the basket on the handlebars, and I would
Yep.
have like an old Polaroid in there and a real clunky old
Mhm.
tape recorder with a little microphone and stuff, and I would ride around in Malibu Canyon or Topanga Canyon because I grew up in Southern California. Well, very early I grew up in New Jersey, but then third grade we moved to West Coast. So I'm driving through the canyons on my bike looking for old abandoned locations that look spooky and go in there and try
Even
and
when you
find
were
them.
young, you went on your own?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay, I would have been too chicken.
Well, all it took was me to walk in and hear one noise that freaked me out too bad. I'm on the bike again, riding to the next location. So the things would happen that would freak me out. You don't realize it sounds like a great idea to go out ghost hunting by yourself until you do it and you realize, yeah, not such a great idea.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
So then it just kind of, went from there.
Mhm.
I did confide later on in my teens, confided in some people that I had a passion for that. So there were a case here or there.
Mhm.
People would, maybe somebody would know somebody that had a haunting, and they would say, well, I know somebody that knows a little bit about ghosts. Let me reach out to him, and maybe you guys can talk, and maybe he can help you. So I would occasionally get a case like that. Um, and then the rest is history. I went uh, didn't really jump into the deep end without my floaties on till probably when I met my wife a little over 20 years ago, and we were set up on a blind date,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, we didn't know it at the time, and a friend of ours set us up on this blind date. And immediately in our first conversation, we realized we both had a passion for the spooky and the
Mhm.
supernatural and the paranormal and all that. So we formed Ghost Begone, and then the rest is, as they say, history. And so we've been doing that for quite some time.
I've seen the picture of your wife on your website. She's beautiful. You can
I'm excited
advertise.
about it's probably going to happen a little bit later today. I haven't seen it yet,
Mhm.
but I think they're going to feature her and I on the cover of Paranormal Underground magazine. So
Really?
I'm excited about that
Well,
because she.
congratulations.
Well, thank you. She's. I know you. I don't know if I've mentioned it to you, but we were just paranormal investigators. We didn't have any intention. She's a minister too, but we had no intention on going down that path to become ministers and get into the deliverance ministry field until we absolutely had to. But it's interesting how we ended up down that path, and so it's much where we are today and what we do is much different than what it was when we first met. And so I wanted people to know that too. We don't just go out ghost hunting to ghost hunt anymore or paranormal investigator. We don't even really go to many of the paranormal conventions or conferences anymore because she we had a really bad haunting, which turned out to be demonic. And
Oh,
whatever it was took up residence in our house here for about 8 weeks. She
oh,
was
I'm so
one
sorry.
that came under attack. Yeah.
I've been there.
And yeah, you and I were talking about that. Your story is pretty amazing. So long story short, and later on in the show, if you want me to go into more detail, I can. But
Sure.
her demonic attack resulted in her having three very rare forms of cancer,
Oh, I'm so
and
sorry.
one was tongue and throat.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she couldn't speak for well
Oh,
over a
I'm
year.
really
She had to
sorry.
learn how
Oh,
to speak again. She had a feeding tube in for over a year.
oh my
So
goodness.
now she had to learn how to speak again. So she nowadays is very stubborn. I try to investigate and take cases on my own. she wants to work them with me, even though she's been through hell and back. But she doesn't do many interviews anymore because I think she sounds great, but she's very self-conscious about her
I
speaking.
could see, I being a nurse, I can't go back to active nursing. I had an accident. I was a visiting nurse, and somebody covered a hole in their front landing. Used the side door. It was a trailer, and it was just something quick. I was going in for a dressing, and I always say it's not my job to judge, but I went in the side door. It was wintertime, and I parked, and the house was a hoarder house. There was just a little path. Nicest man on the planet, really. And I was there for a few minutes, and I said, "Could I use your front door to leave, please?" I said, "My car's parked a little closer to that." And he's, "Oh, by all means." And I worked for the Victorian Order of Nurses at that time, and we used to carry a bag with practically everything, no medication, but everything else we needed, right? And I stepped out onto the rug, and all of a sudden I fell all the way through the landing and shattered all the discs in my back. So I always say God had a different plan. And when you look back, and I didn't know I was going to have my youngest son has severe autism. He's now an adult, so he needed a mama home. So I can now, looking back, I can kind of see how the whole plan played out. I wanted to be a doctor, but you know what? I love what I do now. But with your wife, where I'm going is I can certainly understand, from a medical perspective, that is a terrible thing to go through. And I send her much love, and both of you, in positive healing. And I can understand why she's self conscious, definitely. Hmm.
Well, it was, she's not supposed to be here, and it
Oh, I didn't want to say that, but believe me, yes,
like
I
like
feel goosebumps as I'm saying that. Yes.
I mean, she's didn't drink, didn't smoke, healthiest person on the planet, and no history of cancer in her family. And after we got whatever was in the house out of here, the uh, the residual effect from the attack,
Yep.
which was focused on her, it came on so fast. I remember she went to work one morning fine and came home afterwards, and she was talking to me like she was going having a stroke.
Oh my goodness.
And I asked her, "Are you okay? Are you having a stroke?" And she said, "No, I broke a tooth. I think I broke a tooth, and it's sharp,
Yeah.
and my tongue is rubbing against the tooth, and I think I have an infection." Well, that wasn't the case. She went. I said, "We make an emergency." She just didn't look right. So I said, "Well, make an emergency appointment at your dentist."
Mhm.
And so I think it was a couple of days. In that time, I mean, just in just 48 hours, she got so much worse. And then she went to the dentist, and he just took one look in there and said, "Well, you don't have a broken tooth, and I don't know what's happening in there, but I'm going to send you to an ear, nose, and throat specialist. But it's going to be an emergency appointment because I don't think we can wait." Because even at that time, she was really starting to have trouble speaking, and she didn't want to eat anything because it was so painful.
Oh my
So
goodness.
the ear, nose, and throat guy took one look in there, and he said that's cancer. But from that point, the attack was so insidious. It went right from tongue cancer, and her tongue probably became like a ping pong ball size tumor. The whole tongue that um, migrated down and became another rare form of throat cancer. That migrated down and became medullary thyroid cancer,
Oh
and the
my.
medullary thyroid cancer spread to all these lymph nodes in her neck. So, long story short, she many, many, many treatments of radiation, a bunch of surgeries later. And like I said, that battle we had with her having the feeding tube and having to learn how to talk again. All of that was a long battle. I actually walked away from the paranormal and the ministry work for about 5 years just to
I
help
can
her battle.
understand.
She wasn't expected to live, and I felt bad. I thought, she's only going through this because of me dragging her into these situations. I'll talk about the case that led to us getting followed home,
I'm
but
glad that you're open to that, because, for example, my co-host, and I respect his beliefs, but he doesn't believe in demons because he's never experienced them. So we agree to, I say, whatever you want to call it. Not everybody's running around, if everything's energy, not everybody's running around thinking love and light and acting in love and light. And if everything's energy and our words, our thoughts, and our emotions are so powerful, it can contribute to a lot. But I know that's not where demonic entities formed from. But the thing is, a lot of people don't realize this, right? And then they try and emulate certain individuals on TV thinking that that's what's involved with this, and it's so serious. And look at the work you're doing. And I'm going to ask this question, please let me know if you don't feel comfortable answering it, but do you think they went after your beautiful wife because it wanted to hurt you, and that was the best way it could hurt you, was to go after her?
Well, they are demonic gangsters. They're paranormal gangsters. So they
Absolutely,
go
we
after
dealt with them.
what you love. Yeah. They
And
they target.
that's what I've told people, because you get people saying, and I know people were meaning, and I met some beautiful people through what we went through, and I now try to help people too. But the thing is, people say, well, you just send that down here and I'll just kick its butt. And I'd had to say to so many people, it's not what you think. They don't listen to you. They go after things you can't control. People you love, or health, or money, or finance, anything like that that you can't control. And it's the best way to be able to, I believe, hurt somebody, because then you get into that lower vibrational energetic state, right? And I'd love for you, if you're comfortable, to share a little bit about this for people, because I think we can all learn from, you know, with what you've gone through. And I'm going to say it, hell and back, it sounds like to me.
Yes. Well, we were just having fun. I mean, we were just you know, going to paranormal conferences and
Mhm.
conventions, and you know, going to alleged haunted locations and investigating
Mhm.
and just having fun. This wasn't our intention. We hadn't ran into the motherlode of all haunts, but I'm a veterinary technician,
I
semi-retired by
didn't know
trade,
that.
and she's
Oh,
a office manager at a last almost 30 years at this other animal hospital, which I also worked at.
aw.
But at the
Mhm.
time, I was working at a specialty animal hospital with in oncology with the cancer patients, and the whole hospital started having paranormal activity, so much so that it
I
was
think I
affecting.
remember. Did you talk? I'm not gonna, not to cut you off, and I'm not gonna give it away. But did you talk about a little bit about this in Eli Ross, The Legion of Exorcists?
I don't know if I talked about this particular
Oh, okay,
hospital
then
that
I'll
I
stop
worked at.
talking, because I know
I
there
don't,
was a veterinarian clinic and a
we
veterinarian.
helped.
Okay.
Yeah, we in one of the stories we helped a veterinarian who was possessed. Yes,
Hmm.
that is one of the stories, and
But go ahead. I'm sorry, I got all
that's
excited.
okay. That's okay. Yeah, I was thinking to myself, which story was that? Because I know they used four of my stories in those 6 episodes,
I was on the
and
edge of my seat watching yours. And I've only met Bishop James once, but it was through Jason Bland on Paranormal Soup. Because I used to call in every week years ago when I was looking for help. Anyways, please continue.
I love Bishop J. He's my bishop. In case you didn't know that,
I seen the show. Remember when he was on your show? I think I was
we
pretty.
at that we had just met. We hadn't met before we did the show, and
Oh,
I
I
was
didn't know that.
yeah, I was an ordained Christian minister,
Okay.
exorcist through a Christian university, and it was through
Actually, I
meeting
was
him.
watching that. I was watching. I didn't produce that one. Sorry, but go ahead, please.
That's
I'm just.
okay. That's okay. Yeah, we had just met, and that's another funny story. How who enters the seminary at the age of 60, the Catholic seminary. But in us working together for a couple of weeks, he came to find out, realized that I was a baptized Catholic,
I thought you said
and
that was the wrong age. You're not 60 years old, are you?
well, I'm going to be 65 next month, so I'm getting up there.
Well, I
But
just
yeah,
turned 59. So, but
you
when
look
you said that,
beautiful.
I thought, no, he's not 60. You look very young for
Yeah,
your age.
we got really close during those 2 weeks filming, and we were all done and a ball about to fly back to wherever we all came from. And he walked into our trailer that last day, and he said, "Can I have a word with you?" I said, "Sure." He said, I've come to know you, I think, pretty well in these last couple of weeks, and I realize that you have a pure heart, and I think you would make a wonderful priest. Have you ever thought about entering the seminary and going on to becoming a priest? If so, look into the United States Old Catholic Church, and if you want to go that route, I am the Archbishop. I will get you in front of the
Um,
council of bishops for an interview, and if they accept you, we'll get you into the seminary. Well,
mhm.
what he didn't know at the time, I confided in him a couple of weeks later. But when I was a little boy, my mother used to tell me all the time, um, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I would always give her stupid answers like Spider-Man or a
Yeah.
football player or cop. And she would say, "I think you would make a great priest." And I thought that was the craziest, funniest thing anybody could ever say to me. I'm like, "Yeah,
Right.
right. Well, I'm gonna really be a priest." So when he was saying that to me, I kid you not, I saw my mother. She'd already passed away years before that. I saw her face on his face, and she was Brazilian. So this thick, heavy Brazilian accent is coming through his mouth while he is saying this to me. And up to that point, I was wondering. The show basically came out of nowhere and landed in my lap, and I didn't know why or how. I
Mhm.
knew God had a plan, and I didn't know what the plan was. So I kept praying to him every day. You're gonna have to let me know and show me why you made all this happen, because definitely it can't just be that I'm gonna film this show and then I'm gonna ride off into the sunset and not do anything with it. So when he was saying that to me in that trailer, I knew it hit me like a bolt of lightning. This was the reason why I was meant to meet him
Mhm.
and get into the seminary. And again, I was a terrible student. I even took the GED to get out of high school early because I couldn't wait for graduation. I hated school. So I just, I knocked out almost 6 years worth of seminary training in about 2.5 years
Oh, wow.
because I totally, whatever I was channeling basically helped me through all of that. True. And I just I you hear people say let go and let God. Definitely I did that, and God was responsible for getting me through the seminary and all that. And so
We
that's how
both
that
have
came
said
to
that.
be.
We have both said that already tonight. I don't usually tell this. Why I might have mentioned it, but I said God had another plan for me because I was fully intending. I had a young son at the time, very young. Was never supposed to have any kids. This second son was an absolute surprise in the best way because my first one was through years of infertility treatment. And but I was always told, and I know who it was, and when I was 4 years old now, visiting with me every night and talking about what my life might be like and the different places I might go. And I remember asking her about children and whatever, right? And so when I had the my second son, like I say, I was still planning on going to medical school, but I look back now and I have been so grateful and I really count my blessings because am I making the money I'd be making as a nurse? No, but I've been able to be there for my son, and he really needed me, especially when he was in school. He's 26 and a half and very bright in some areas, but with no disrespect, like at about a 5 to 7 or 8 year old. And the beauty in it is like Christmas, the magic of Christmas, we still get to see. He plays with toys. He's very gifted, intuitively and psychically. So there's many blessings when we go through difficult things in life and we look back, and it's almost like you can see why the whole picture played out if you're willing to stand back and look at it objectively, I think, don't you?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Mhm.
I I definitely don't judge, and I don't tell people how they should go
Yep.
about their business.
Mhm.
And I'm not the kind of guy that gets on a soapbox and gets my preach on, if you will. But I like to lead
I've
by
noticed that
example.
about you, and I love that.
I, I'm not that guy.
Mhm.
Um, but what I do like to do is I like to tell people the stories of what I've been through, and they can
Mhm.
take from it whatever message there may be there in that experience. And then I like to tell them of the glory of God and the divine intervention that I've witnessed, which actually pulled my wife and I out of these situations. And the people can take what they will from that too. Um, and I know I'm going to get hate mail for this, but I'm working at this one animal hospital specialty center. My wife's the office manager at an animal hospital across town. And there was a lot of paranormal activity going on, and everybody there knew what I did. So the superintendent came to me and asked me if I wanted to come in there one night and do an investigation. So I said, well, can I bring Sharon? He said, yeah, absolutely. So we came and knocked on the back door and got let in by the emergency nurses because the emergency was open all night long. So my
Okay.
wife and I start doing this investigation. Caught so much evidence, which I've shared before in the past. Uh, just really weird things going on there. And this girl, one of the night nurses, was giving us a tour.
Mhm.
And she said, the other nurses are too scared to go to help you. I'm here to help you if you need help. But we all have had issues, physical issues too, here with whatever's floating around here. So after that investigation, one of my coworkers who worked in surgery, a veterinary technician in surgery, she comes to me one day and says, I'm a newlywed. My husband and I just moved into this new place. Something here has followed us home, and I need your help. Well, without getting too graphic, basically something was basically that she couldn't see was raping her in the middle of the night right in front
Why
of her
did I
husband.
know you were going to say that? As soon as you said not
Yeah.
getting too graphic, and I'm going to throw something in here. I have seen very tragically this happened to some people, and then you get people saying there's no way it could happen, and I keep saying, you know what, thank God that it never did, and it never does, because please continue. But I'm, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that she felt comfortable that she could share that with you, both of you.
Well, she had nowhere to turn, and it didn't affect just her. Her husband would wake up and watch whatever was happening. He would try to intervene, and then he would get attacked. And now he wouldn't just get attacked, he would get physically raped as if he's like, in jail somewhere,
Mhm.
and he's having things happen to him. So it was a very ugly situation, and then it escalated, and it would happen to her in the shower, happen to her when they're having dinner, happen to her on the living room couch watching TV. So my wife and I decided to go over there. We had no clue what we were in for because we were just having fun. But I remember she just bought me this brand new camera, and we walk into the house. My wife's walking around doing whatever it is she does. She's also sensitive, intuitive, so I call her my human dowsing rods. She's walking around doing whatever she does. I turn my camera on, and I'm panning. Your camera has that little video camera has that little flip up screen, and you see on the screen what your camera sees. And I'm panning across the living room, and I kid you not, I see on the viewfinder what appears to be, for lack of a better description, an angel standing in the living room. This angelic being looking thing. I can't see it with my regular eye, but
Mhm.
it's on the viewfinder.
Mhm.
So I decide to walk through it. And when I walk through it, it's like for just a moment in time, um, I'm like out of my body, but still in my body. No air, but I can breathe. Just really a weird situation. I walk through it. I turn back around. I can't see it, but it's still appearing on my viewfinder. So I decide to walk through it again. I walk through it again, and there's the loudest as so somebody popped a balloon, and my camera blows up.
Oh my goodness.
My wife comes running in the room, and she sees my camera actually smoking. She goes, I told you to learn how to use that thing before you just go playing with it. What'd you do to it? I said, I didn't do anything to it. I told her what happened. We can't get the camera to work any longer. We finish our investigation, and uh, now this is where I'm going to get hate mail. If you want to use these things, God bless you. I'll pray for you. But I didn't know what else to do to communicate with things, so we broke out a Ouija board. And my wife and I are playing with the Ouija board. The married couple is up there helping us too. Things start to get a little weird, and they get weird. They get freaked out, and they go and they sit across the living room from us in the couch. And all of a sudden, it things started getting really, really strange. And we audibly heard something tell us to stop. And it sounded like somebody behind the wall where they were sitting smacked the wall with a bat. It was so loud that The married couple, without even moving, they like launched in midair and landed back down on the couch. We thought we would try to close down the session, which obviously we didn't do a good job of it, and that we would come back at another time. It was getting late. They were tired. Nothing other than a few parlor tricks had happened and my vision I saw on my camera. So we're driving home, and it's about 3 in the morning. My wife has caller ID on her phone, and the phone starts ringing, and she says, "Honey, I want to answer my phone, but there's no phone number there. It's like somebody's calling, but there's nobody there." Well, you better answer it anyhow. Might be a glitch, might be the client. We're not that far away. We can go back. So my wife answers the phone, nobody's there. I don't know if that was the moment when whatever was in that home came through, but we both had a very odd feeling the rest of the drive home in the car.
Yeah.
We got home and it was almost immediate. Um, the night terrors first set in, and what we both experienced was we thought we were awake, but in this dream, we would see this black smoke hover above us, and it would come down on you and back up, come down on you and back up, and then it would come down and like engulf you, and that would be what woke you up. Then you'd look around and you'd realize, oh, it was just a dream. But
I have pictures of the black smoke from our house.
yeah, see, and so it started there. We had a water main pipe break in the wall in the master bedroom. We started having things disappear, missing, a lot of other parlor tricks happening. I remember hearing children play in my garage one day, like the following morning, and I thought I left my garage open, and some of the kids in the neighborhood went in there to play. So I look in the garage. There's no kids out there. Garage door shut. I slam the door. A little bit later, I hear children playing in my garage again. So I open up the garage door. There is a huge swarm of bees
Oh my
in
God.
the garage. I mean, I all I can see is just this massive cloud of bees in my garage. So I quietly shut the door. I'm freaked out. I don't know what to do. I can't afford to get a bee dude to come out. They're expensive. So I thought, what am I going to do here? I came up with the brilliant idea to make a, as best a bee suit as I could make. And I would go out there and very quietly and slowly walk over to the garage door and unlock it.
Mhm.
Very quietly walk back into the house. Hopefully, I make it. And if I make it, I'll go back outside and very slowly open my garage door and then very slowly walk back in the house. And hopefully, the bees will just leave. Well, it
Were
went
you
off.
asking yourself where they came from with the fact that your garage door was locked?
This is the freaky thing. These things can manipulate
Oh,
environment.
I
Yeah, you know. So it went off like a charm. A couple hours later, I peek into the garage. Bees are gone. I'm like, thank you, Jesus.
know.
So I
Yes.
go and I shut the garage door. I lock it. I'm big on gardening. I don't do it much anymore, but at the time I was big on gardening. So I'm out there in my garden in the front yard, and I start getting dive bombed by these big black birds. They weren't ravens, they weren't crows. I had never seen any birds in southern Nevada like this before. They're
Yes. Oh,
actually
totally.
dive bombing me and hitting me. I
Mhm.
ran and got in my car, sat in my car in the driveway. They're on the hood of the car, looking at me, pecking at the glass, trying like to get in the car at me. I'm all, this is the freakiest thing I've ever gone through. Finally, eventually, I listened to, you know, a CD or two. I look around, finally the birds are gone. I go back in the house. My wife gets home. I start talking to her about it. She's having many of the same things. We would hear what sounded like a large pterodactyl would like
Mhm.
land on our roof
Yeah.
and screech and yell, and you could hear what like either claws or like hooves or whatever running across our ceiling, and then it would sound like it would crash through our attic door in our master bedroom, and I would quickly grab the holy water and a crucifix. I'd go in there. I'd go looking in the attic to see did something really crash through my roof. Nothing was there. But it was shortly after that, like I want to say within the next day or two is when my wife came home, and she started having issues, and it really went after her hot and heavy for days. And God bless the paranormal community. You know how many times you reach out to paranormal community for help, you don't get any. This one time I reach out and they came through for me. I'm like, I don't know what I'm dealing with. Is there anybody out there that can help me? So at this time, this I'm not going to mention her name because she's retired now. This woman who claims to be an exorcist, and I quickly did some research on her, stalked her a little bit, and realized she was legit. This woman, a Catholic exorcist, reaches out to me. I'll help you. She took me under her wing, taught me not only how to fight this thing and get it out of the house, but when we were done, she told me, I see something in you that I don't think you see in yourself. I think you're meant to be an exorcist. And if you think about it, if you don't want to answer right now, but think about it, and if you want, I can put you through training. And when you graduate the training, you'll be a member of the American Association of Exorcists and Agape Christian University. So that's what I did. I mean, I did it. I was scared, but I
I was
did it.
just, you're reading my mind. All the things I'm about to ask you, you're saying, because I was going to say that is the epitome of having to stand up and face your fears. Would you not agree that you are now doing the work of what this woman helped you guys, both of you, with? And I can't even imagine to have to face your fears, and now you're doing it.
I did it for one reason only. I want to be whatever this thing was. I wanted to be ready the next time if something like that happened again. I wanted to know how to fight it. I had no intentions to really. I did it to gain knowledge, but didn't intend to take it much further than that. But like I said, then my wife started getting really ill, and I didn't at the time know that her illness was from the attack.
Mhm.
I just thought, okay, life happens. My wife's got cancer. She's not expected to survive. We're going to fight this the best we can and make the best of it until we can't any longer. I She went down to like 90 pounds, and there was like times where she would have to go and stay in the isolation ward in the hospital for a couple of weeks for them to try and get her weight back up, and it was just a rough time. But I'm still working cases. And she even went, as sick as she was on some days, she even went with me on a couple of cases because what happened after that, and this is a really long story, so we don't have to go down the whole rabbit hole, but the girl that gave us the tour that night in the hospital, she reaches out to us and starts having issues at home. And here's the weird thing, there's a connection with her and you in this sense. And the next two cases I had were single mothers. One mother had an autistic child,
Oh,
and one
wow.
mother had a Down syndrome child. And both those children were under attack. But
My
that's jumping too far ahead.
No, but both
So,
my boys were too. Like my eldest is engaged. She's part of the LGBTQ community. I always say have very unique children, and I always say they're the greatest gifts I've ever been blessed with. I won the lottery not once but twice because I was always told I would never have children. But just what you're sharing, I have them posted right now on my Facebook profile, have it pinned. But some of the EVPs that came through, I know I didn't do EVPs. I listened to people, like it was a 24-hour day job practically. I barely slept, and went local and worked my way out till it became global. And exactly what you said, reaching out, either people didn't help, or the really weird thing for me, people would agree to come and help, and all of a sudden they'd get pulled in a different direction. They would get sick. Somebody that close to them would get sick, and help would never be able to come. And I would know when I would speak to somebody that could help me. I have not released these to the public, but one time I was talking to a Canadian paranormal team over Facebook video years ago, and all of a sudden my tailbone for some reason started burning. And after I got off the phone with them and I looked, it looked like somebody had taken a cigar this big, and there's a blister right on my tailbone from being burnt. My
wow.
partner Dell has a bite. Actually, Michelle has seen it. I've shown it. I don't release it because it was we never taunted or teased anything, but it was like, what is it with behinds? Because his was right over where the belt would be. on his backside. And the only reason I found it, he woke up in the morning and he had like handprints on his arms with bruises. And I said, that wasn't there last night. Like, what were you dreaming about? Because I know he remembers his dreams. He can do lucid dreaming and things like that naturally. He said, I don't know. I was fighting something. I said, well, sorry, buddy. You need to stir up because I'm checking your whole body. And that's how I found the bite mark on him, too. Hmm.
That's craziness.
I
That's
believe
absolutely
every word.
crazy.
Like, did you get the smells? Like, the smells were
Oh
just,
yeah, it
oh,
was it was a really bad time in our lives, and what I did was I walked away from the ministry field because for
you
two
needed
reasons.
to.
One, yeah, I wanted to help my wife. I didn't know I knew it was going to end bad, but I didn't know how bad or when, and so I just walked away from the ministry field. So here it is one night, um, and it's probably one of the worst nights. Um, she's from the radiation and the chemo and recovering from the surgeries. It's just a bad night, and I just something in me says she's not going to survive till morning. I'm
Oh.
taking care of her at home. I'm like her home hospice caregiver,
Mhm.
and so I'm it's in the middle of the night. She doesn't look good. I have a feeling I'm going to wake up laying next to a dead woman in the morning. So I
Mhm.
don't know what to do. I knew she would be okay because I had two big mastiffs in bed with her, and I heard my mother tell me to go to church. This is 2 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in
Mhm.
the morning to go to church, and I knew what she meant by that. My father, before I was born, um, he was like a 25-year retired master chief from the Navy, and
Okay.
during World War II, or he met my mom after World War II, but maybe even after the Korean War. He's still in the Navy at this time, but he contracted like spinal meningitis,
Oh my
encephalitis, and some
goodness.
other stuff, and he wasn't expected to survive. So my mother had made a, I don't recommend people do this, but she made a deal with God
Mhm.
that if you, um,
Save my husband.
yeah, I will from this day on, every time I go to church, I'll do it on my hands and knees, and I'll have another child. And she was told by doctors not to have any more children because she probably wouldn't make it, or the child wouldn't make it, because the pregnancy of my second oldest sister was very rough. So they had no intentions on having any more children. So she made that deal with God. And when she got to the hospital, my dad was strapped into a bed. She fell asleep at his bedside. When she woke up in the morning, he was sitting up in bed totally normal. There was no traces of any of the disease in him any longer. So my mom kept her side of the bargain. She did that till she was physically too old to crawl on her hands and knees any longer, but she went ahead and had another child. Ta-da, yours truly.
Because you needed
So
to be born.
when I heard my mom say that, go to church, I knew what she meant. And so I knew there was this all night prayer chapel around the corner from the house. And 1 a.m. in the morning, I drive there. I leave Sharon home alone. Things can't get any worse. I drive to this prayer chapel. I walk in, I bless myself, and I got on my hands and knees and I crawled all the way up to the altar, threw myself on the mercy of the court, if you will. And I laid there for an hour or two, just talking to whoever would listen. Nobody's in the church. And I'm talking to God and my guardian angels and the saints and anybody who, and I'm making this deal with God, and all of a sudden I get this feeling it's okay to go home.
Hmm.
But I I shouldn't have done this, but I asked God. I said, "Are you faking me out here? Are you just giving me the strength to go back home? But I'm going to find my wife dead. That wouldn't be fair. I'm good with whatever you say. I'm good with whatever your plan is here, God. But that would be messed up. I hope you're not doing that."
Hmm.
So I drive home, and that's exactly what I'm thinking is going to happen. I walk in, my wife, she's going to be dead. I had a friend that I grew up with. I've known him since I was a young kid, like elementary school. Known him all my life. Nicest guy on the planet, biggest heart, would take a bullet for you. He's just diehard atheist, doesn't believe in anything. But
Hmm.
he's the nicest guy. Wouldn't hurt a fly.
Yeah.
Great friend. But at this point in time, he's living on the East Coast and he's on his deathbed. He's dying of advanced colon cancer. And I had just talked to him a few days before, and he didn't sound good at all. So when I go in the house and I see my wife is still alive. My phone starts ringing, and I see it's a New York call. I'm thinking it's one of his family members calling me to tell me that he had passed. So I answer the phone. To my surprise, it's my friend, and he sounds totally like there's not a problem in the world. He sounded
Oh
so
my
great, upbeat, and so
goodness.
happy. And I'm all, dude, what's going on with you? He goes, I called you to tell you this. I just saw God, and God told me to tell you that you need to continue fighting those responsible for what happened to Sharon, and that Sharon's going to live.
Oh, wow.
So we finished talking. He got off the phone, and he didn't. A few hours later, he was dead.
Oh,
But he
so
didn't lie to me. My wife made a miraculous turnaround at that moment. You could visually see. And so I picked up the phone and called my then mentor and said, I got to get back in the game. I'm being told to. And it was, meant to be because she's still with us. She survived.
thank goodness.
The last full body CT and MRI we did showed no metastasis of the disease anywhere.
Thank God.
Um, and so yeah, so I finished my training, and as soon as I got done finishing my training, the next two cases that came across my desk were extremely ugly demonic possession cases. So I knew that's what I was meant to happen. So I did that for a few years, Christian exorcist, and then until I got the show and met Bishop Long, and after filming, he talked me into entering the seminary, and so
And here
that,
we are. That, you know what, I couldn't help jumping in every now and then because I you just, when you've been there, you know it. Like, even though I didn't have your experience, just some of the things you shared. And and I always say to people, because I know I get a lot of flack sometimes from people, not so much anymore, but years back, like, that we were making it up, we were faking it. That's why I took so many pictures, because I kept thinking nobody's going to believe this.
yeah.
It almost killed my partner Dell. And I it was literally like black ectoplasm coming out of him. It was like it was choking him, and we were in bed. It's a long story, but we were in bed together, and he started shaking, and I remember saying his name's Dell, and I'm going, Dell, Dell, and it was his voice, and he's saying, I'm okay. I'm all right. And I know, I even with the back injury, I jumped out of bed so quick. I'm picking him up, and I'm shaking him and shaking him and shaking him, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I need suction. I need something. He's choking and choking and choking and choking. And then all of a sudden, and he remembers when it happened, he said he felt like his ribs were breaking. And I don't, it's TMI, but he started vomiting up this black, it was like ectoplasm. And I put it in a, like, I had a bowl or something, and I remember looking afterwards going, do I take a picture? No, this is going too far. I almost wish I would have. And he says all he remembers of that is waking up feeling like he was being choked and his ribs being broken. Like, that's how bad this was in this house. And it just didn't, like, it wasn't just us, like, other people got affected by things. All our children, I lost two of my pets very mysteriously, actually, just awful things. And like I say, I'm going to segue into Contessa's question here, because I think it's a good question with what we've talked about, if you're okay, Father Sean. She says, Father Sean, do you think that we are having a spiritual war right now between good and evil? I find that you hear more about demonic stories now than ever.
Hi, Contessa. That is a great question,
It is a
and
good
we've
one.
all we were have always been in a
I agree.
battle between good and evil. It's from the long before any of us were here, and it'll continue to go on long after we're gone. But right now, especially, there seems to be a rise in it. Um, I like to try and put it in. Sometimes I use terms that I don't like to use, but I think people will understand better when I throw them. The veil between the two worlds now is about as thin as I've felt it or seen it in my lifetime. And what has happened is that as humanity has gotten away from God, and you don't have to believe in the God that I believe in, but there's many different religious belief systems that believe in some type of much higher
Influence.
vibrational power of love and light that watches over us, which is the exact opposite of those extreme lower vibrational malevolent things that are out to, kill us, capture our
Mhm.
souls, drag
Mhm.
us to hell, if you will. And right now, it's moving rapidly, and it's through humanity like I've never seen it in my lifetime. So that's why things seem to be so bad right now. And I like to keep it simple. I think it's because basically people have walked away from faith. People have given up on faith and don't have any, and have just walked away
And
from
love and
giving up
kindness.
on God.
Love and kindness you've never seen, and without getting into anything other than just observing the fact that there's never been more division. And I've been saying, even myself, like on my own shows or when I'm doing, speaking public, even to friends, that we really have to take a look at things. And I'm not telling people what to do, but I'm giving them this perspective with the fact that, you know, if we're cutting people out of our lives that we've had our whole life, that maybe we've been friends or loved or cared about, or even if we've just had as an acquaintance and there's been no issues, but we're all dividing over things that I guarantee you 10 years from now, people are going to think, why, I wonder why I don't talk to that person anymore. What was the issue? They're never going to remember. It doesn't matter right now, right? And I keep saying we need to pull together, because I almost feel like the world's going through a major shift as well, because not only because a lot of evil I think is really coming to the light as well, that's really stayed hidden. I don't know, like I guess maybe with the veil being so thin, because I keep, and maybe it's because people's attention are starting to be drawn more to it. I'm not sure what it is, because you're right, I've never heard of so much of this before either, and I don't do the work that you do.
Yeah, it's it never stops. I mean, for years now, it just never stops for me. I can never handle or get caught up on the workload. I try to, refer cases out to other teams all the time and other people that are in the deliverance ministry biz and paranormal investigators, because I'll never catch up. And that's just me. And then you think about Bishop Long's workload, and we're also the Society of Saint Benedict. We're the team, the exorcism team for the USOCC that directly helps the paranormal community. So when a paranormal team who just wants to do a paranormal investigation and they expect to run into just regular old disembodied human spirits, runs into something more malevolent and starts having issues, now they have a place where they can turn to, where that wasn't always the case. Most churches don't want to be affiliated
True.
with the paranormal and help in that aspect, be there um, to help. So that workload, their workload is through the roof.
I sure
And
wish I would have known you. I have looked into the eyes of somebody that, and I think they probably had a deep attachment with something very evil. I've seen a lot of things on camera, but this person was going through an extremely stressful time. A loved one, like a parent, they'd lost their parents already. They were exhausted. It got to the point, and people are going to think I'm exaggerating. I'm not. That they could not say the word Jesus. They could not say the word God, angel, anything to do with that. And then the one night when it really all hit the fan, I was on, oh, I'm getting goosebumps as I'm telling you. No, they don't even live in the same country. They live in California. And their son had called me, and this person, without this attachment taking over, was one of the most kindest, caring, loving people I've ever met. Um, Loved animals, wouldn't hurt their children. When I looked into the eyes of this individual, I can't even have the words to explain the evil. And I swear on everything that all it is holy, with just a look, their adult son was on the ground screaming, holding their stomach. They were hurting their animals with a look. And then they were levitating on the darn camera. And I didn't know what I know now. And I kept thinking, it was 3 o'clock in the morning, my time. I think, who do I know? Who do I know? And I went up somebody I knew in the field that I thought had worked with this stuff. The only thing they did was bear witness to some of this, but they certainly couldn't help. And I was trying to help them in the best way I could. And there's nothing I could do. As far as I know, I don't think they've ever gotten it dealt with. The relationship just gently fell away because I went to my Akashic Records mentor and just said, what is this? Like, I just want to work with the light. Like, why are these things? Why am I seeing these things? And with my permission, she had asked if she could dissolve any prior agreements or contracts or anything to that effect. And I said yes, because I never wanted to see that ever again at that time. No, we've never had a fight, not an argument. We're still on each other's friends list, but it just beautifully kind of just, the relationship just sort of melted away. And that sounds like pure something out of a movie, but it's not. And I'm sure you've seen way worse.
I and I'm not trying to make a joke out of it, but I like to refer to it as PDS,
Okay.
post-traumatic stress syndrome,
Okay.
or post-demonic stress syndrome.
Yes. Yes.
Because, and it's a very, what I, my, other than my wife and
Mhm.
my sisters and my little brother, and just a small handful of friends, um, it's lonely what I do, because I'll tell you, even way back in the day when finally I kind of came out of the closet with it, that I had a passion for investigating the paranormal and ghost hunting and ghost busting. Right there, I noticed a big drop off of friends who still
Mhm.
love me, care about me, pray for me, occasionally pick up the phone and say, "Oh, good, you're still alive."
Yeah.
Um, but they don't want to hang out.
Don't tell me any of the weird stuff. I've been told when I go to people's houses, um, don't leave any of that weird stuff with you. So I usually don't go too far from my house either.
So it went in stages, and the next stage was when I got started doing ministry work. There was a big group of people that dropped off because, like, God bless them, but they thought, oh, now he's gone over the deep end. Now he's a reverend, he's a minister. He's I'm gonna mute my mic here just for a second.
Oh, hi, Carrie Lynn.
I don't know if you knew, I'm recovering from my third bout of COVID since the
No, I did not. And
pandemic. So I may, if I start having a coughing fit, I'll just mute my mic.
you just go
And
for it, and it's fun. Let's say hi to Carrie Lynn, and we got to say hi to a few people quickly. We got some questions for
sure,
you, so I guess I should do my station ID. I always forget, so I get so involved in my conversations. So if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the. I almost said it again. The Angel Rock. Why do I think it's Thursday? The Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin and my very special guest, fellow UPRN host, Father Shawn Whittington. And you can listen to us on 105.3 out of Mississippi and 107.7 out of the beautiful city of New Orleans. So I'm going to give Howie Odell, he's coming up as Ed Odell, a shout out. He says he's tipping his top hat. And I always like to tell people to please, he is co-owner with, I believe, or started at least, I've known him for years, with the Riff Nation Network. He's had David and I on his show, The Orion Effect, with his amazing co-host, Rhonda Harris. And he's a big supporter of our network and many of the shows. So I always like to support him. And Miss Carrie Lynn, I didn't think she was going to pop in. She goes, I'm going to listen when I get home. She's got an event tonight, but she's popping in to say hi and she's waving. So she is she's got, sorry, my brain's all over the place. Sorry. You know, when you're hearing spirit, I don't hear voices. I'm trying to think ahead of what I'm going to say. Please check her show out, Spirit Switchboard, which comes right after Father Shawn's at 5 p.m. Eastern and at 6 p.m. On Fridays. And yeah, please be sure. Also, you guys, I'm going to give you a shout out. I just thought of it now. Carrie Lynn, through no fault of her own, is having some issues with Facebook. So please check her out on Instagram. That's the best place, I believe. Carrie Lynn, please correct me if I'm missing anything, but please check her out there, okay? She hasn't gone anywhere. She's just had to move a few things over there until things get settled. So please, she's got everything that she's been doing on Facebook over on Instagram, and that way, yeah, you guys can stay in touch with her. Also, we've got, we got, I always tease Mish. She says, Mish, and she's got a smart aleck personality too. I love it. She says, get some vitamin C into you, Shawn. She's over in the future. I always,
You would be surprised, Mish, how much stuff I got pumping into me. I even have well, the crazy thing is every time I've had it 3 times since the pandemic,
I'm so
and the
sorry.
duration of the illness has shortened every time, but the initial punch has gotten stronger.
Mhm,
And the second time, I was left with what my doctor called long-term COVID
mhm,
cough. They don't
mhm.
know, you know, uh, if it'll ever go away. They don't know what to do for it. So they gave
If you
me.
stay tuned afterwards, because you have to be careful with talking about that. There's nothing with you wrong with you saying what you do, but if you stay tuned for a few minutes after we're off air, I'd love to talk to you about that and give you some suggestions, maybe if you're open to it.
I'm ODing where I'm ODing on these liquid filled Ricola cough drops. The doctor
Mhm,
has me on a very strong cough medicine, which I will be on. I've been already was on it for a couple of years, and they've upped the dose a little bit, and I'm continuing to take that. And I just try not to get too excited and talk too fast or talk too much because I'll have these. I never know when they're going to happen,
mhm,
but I'll have these coughing fits, and
mhm.
once they start, man, I can't get them to stop. But
I
I'm getting
have some
better.
suggestions. I can't. I'm not. I wouldn't be able to talk to you about it on air, but
Okay,
without saying too much. And if it resonates, great, and if it doesn't, that's okay too. But we had some question. Please, everybody, if you can. I know you're not asking, but I am. We can all send you some healing and prayers to
thank you
help.
very much.
Um, we've got Heidi that had a good. Well, sorry, I seen another question, but I'm going to ask this one. It says, I've noticed it seems more people are quote unquote infatuated with demonic activity and brackets, networks, and YouTubers. I'm reading this out for anybody who's watching because most 80% of our audience is listening. So they'll be going, what are you guys talking about without me reading this out? And then she adds, I think where you put your energy towards manifests what is in your reality. What are your opinions or view?
I agree 100%, and I'll tell you why. I feel bad. I did this off camera before I came into the studio today. I said a very powerful prayer for you, your family, me, my family, and everybody that was going to tune in and listen to the show today, because these things are lurking around, and when you talk about
Absolutely.
them, it does give them a bit of energy.
Mhm.
Um, so you just have to be very careful. A lot of people. Um, Play with these things, and when you play with fire and you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna get burned. I know that sounds cliche, but
It's true.
you just have to be very, very careful. And I know people are going to not understand where I'm coming from when I say this, but I don't have all the answers. I'm not an expert. In my humble opinion, there are no experts. Nobody has all
Agree.
the answers.
Mhm.
um, the people that I am able to help, it always comes down to this: even if they don't want to take up Catholicism and start praying to the God I pray to, if I can get them to at least denounce Satan and
Mhm.
his works and accept a higher power of love and light watching over them and start praying to that, whatever name they want to attach to it, start praying to it, start praying to your guardian angels, whether you believe in them or not. We all have them, they're very
I always
real.
say whether they believe it, you believe in them or not, they believe in you.
Absolutely. And I've seen mine twice, so they're very real.
Excuse
And you just have to be careful. And what you say and what you do, where you go. A lot of my clients are paranormal investigators who didn't really know any better, and they were at the wrong place at the wrong time, said and did the wrong thing, did some provoking. poked the bear when they shouldn't have.
Took something from a place I've seen
Yeah.
too. Hmm.
So that is that statement that the one listener said is absolutely right. And
Yeah, and
people,
also, like I said when I started the show, we never went looking for the paranormal. It found us. And I've had many a discussion with my co-host David on air and other people on air and off air. I truly believe that had I not gone through that experience, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. And I love what I'm doing today. So um, it probably would have taken an earth shaking kind of thing like that to probably, like I do this 24 hours a day, right? Just as you do, it's our work, right? You're busy working all the time. And I love what I do. So, and like I say, I've met people that, again, don't believe in it. And I always tell them, you know what, I hope your life always stays that way and you never encounter anything like this. I really do, because it is around there. It is around. But I'm going to ask you a question of my own. Where do you think this comes from? And I thank you for the prayer ahead of time too. I wasn't even worried with you coming on. I guess I must have just known that we were going to be talking about heavier stuff, but getting to know you, and you just got such a beautiful, loving energy around you. I wasn't worried. So thank you for thinking of all our guests and families. But where do you think, in your humble opinion, where do these things come from and why are they here?
I, you know, I'm to get to where I'm at. Everybody in my field has had a certain amount of theology and demonology
Mhm,
training.
mhm,
It doesn't go as deep as a full-fledged demonologist that
mhm.
studies that, and they have to be very careful too.
Oh, yeah.
Um, Knows more.
Mhm,
But I'm the kind of guy that likes to keep it simple, and I was always taught since I was a little kid that they're just fallen angels. They were all the angels that followed Satan, that lost the battle with Saint Michael and his forces, and Legion was cast down to hell. And so to me, I look at them as fallen angels
mhm,
or demons. But the people that I'm able to help most is if I can get them to realize that they are the ones that truly have the power to turn
mhm,
their life around
mhm.
and draw their line in the sand, make a stand, put up the fight of their life against these things and get them away. They are the ones that truly have the power. And once I can get them to accept that and believe that, then I can almost immediately see a shift and a turnaround in these some very ugly situations. But the people that think, no, I wasn't doing anything bad. I farted around a little bit and went to some seances and played with the Ouija board and I ghost hunt and you know, uh, you know, I've dabbled a little bit in witchcraft, but harmlessly. I don't cast spells on people and pervert and manipulate stuff. I'm not that kind of witch. So I'm a good person. Help me get rid of this. You know, just get rid of this thing for me. They expect you to come in and wave a magic wand and make it all go away.
That's it.
Um, like living in Vegas, a lot of my clients are adult film stars, prostitutes, strippers, and I'm not judging. Very addicted to drugs and alcohol. Sometimes the alcohol and drug abuse comes after the malevolent attachment has attached to them,
Mhm.
but sometimes that was a gateway to let them in.
I agree.
And until these people are ready to totally just change their life, I mean, just
Mhm,
totally change their life, something they did. These things play by rules. Unfortunately, we know a lot of the rules. Unfortunately, we don't know a lot of the rules. But you've done something, and not always. Sometimes God allows possession to take place because He knows that this person is going to make it through it. But there's somebody close to that person that needs to witness true evil and then witness the power of God delivering this person. But most of the time, these people have said something or done something to give these things the feeling that they've been given permission to attach. And sometimes you don't even really need to know what that is. We can't always go back to where the deal was done and change the deal. Um, but the people need to realize that regardless of what that's a lot of times in exorcism, we try to find out who the demon is and why they attach to this person and when are they going to leave. But we can't always get the answers to that. So the people need to know that they need to denounce Satan. They need to accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, and they need to change their life around. And I'm telling you, every time I've been able to get my client to that point, they were able to get their life back. Unfortunately, and I'm embarrassed to say it, there's many clients I have to cut loose because now I get to a point with them where now I'm doing more harm than good because they're not buying into
They're not
and
committed.
this is yeah not committed, and this is a terrible way to put it, buying into what I'm selling. They're not on board at all and they're fighting me and it's just making it worse. And you made a great comment earlier in the show. Before I even go to these people's home, I tell them to send the dogs and the cats to the clinic, animal hospitals, and board them. Get all the children and go spend the night with a neighbor. Because as soon as I show up, I never do any religious provocation. Just me showing up is provocation enough. And they immediately go to the weak link in the family
Yep.
because their ultimate goal is to break up the family anyhow. They go
Yep.
to immediately to the weak link and start attacking them, whether it be the animals or the children. So I get them away from the from the home. And there was a time where, you know, old school ghost hunters would say, "We never tell the person to leave the home." Well,
Mm.
times have changed, and you've experienced this too. Sometimes you do need to, because sometimes this infestation and this oppression has bled into the property in the home, and
Oh, I believe that.
you can deliver the person, but it's still there, and for some reason you can't get it out of there. And so it's best, depending on how violent the haunt is, you sometimes you need to advise the people to move. Sometimes they're able to do that, sometimes no.
We
They don't.
moved. I lost my home. I lost my home, and I wasn't like, it was like the whole neighborhood was affected. Like, I used to have a neighbor, his daughter used to babysit for us. My first husband and I broke up in that home too, and I believe that was part of it. I don't think if we ever had moved to that home, I honestly still would probably still be together. And the neighbor 3 doors down, we had security cameras, everything in our home. I mean, I'm writing a book actually to kind of share how we've gotten through this. But my neighbor used to stand on the sidewalk outside and measure our grass with a ruler, and he knew we could see him. I had the city bylaw officer at my house several times a week. It was like the whole neighborhood had shifted, like energetically. Like, it was just insane. I don't know what's going on in that house now. I've never gone back to it. I've never asked the people about it. Um, but it was insane. It was like exactly what you said. It wasn't just, I think there were portals open in the home. For what reason, I don't know. But I think it was in the land as well. I agree with you. Hmm.
We I don't know if you knew this, my wife and I live in a haunted home. And
I didn't, but I,
yeah,
I believe it. Hmm.
we've lived here for over 20 years, and we've everybody in the neighborhood that's been here a long time knows that our house is weird.
Hmm.
And my I have many times I'll have neighbors come over and say, um, "What are you doing?" Because they'll see me doing with, I got the Bible out there and the
Yeah.
crucifix and the holy water, and I'm praying over my water system,
Hmm.
and then I back up and I'm spraying my
The
home
house.
down
Yep.
because now it's holy water coming out of the hose,
Yes.
and I'm
Mhm.
spraying, and they'll come over and I'll tell them that, and they'll just, okay.
Okay.
We used to celebrate Halloween, and the hauntings here got so bad that the kids were scared to come up and trick or
Oh,
treat. There'd be a knock on the door or the doorbell would ring, and we'd open it up and it would be the parents there, trick or
oh.
treat, and the kids would be down on the sidewalk because they sent their parents up. So we decided to stop. When it got that bad, we decided to stop doing the Halloween. But you never know.
You made a good
Element,
point, though. Can I just ask you
yeah.
about this for a sec? You said, I didn't know that your house was haunted that you live in, but this is what I have said to most people that, you've been able to confirm that, yes, there's some strange activity going on there that really can't otherwise be explained, okay? Or something's really been caught to start demonstrating that there could be the possibility of paranormal activity. But what people don't realize is just because you've got paranormal activity doesn't mean it's all demonic or negative. Like I've seen many places where, and I use this story. If and I've run into spirits like this. I'm sure you have too. That they haven't realized they passed. They passed so quickly, and they think they're still alive. So say they go back to their home, and there's many reasons why people, spirits choose to stay and hang on to the material world here. But say they go back to their home, but they can't understand why nobody can hear them. And they're speaking to people and whatever they recognize they can't be seen. But all of a sudden, right? Because I believe time is different on the other side, that these strangers move into your home and you're thinking, what are these people doing in my home? And try to call the police, the phone doesn't work. And I know this is a extreme example, but my point is, and then we hear a lot of this too when renovations go on, right? And I always ask people, what would you do? God forbid you were in that situation to make somebody leave your home. And the whole reason I tell this story is, are these spirits, for lack of a better word, are they evil? No. But maybe there's a misunderstanding or communication issues, because I've seen many of people be able to live. Whereas, say, someone like Carrie Lynn or myself, and we're able to facilitate the communication, and you can both live peacefully in the home. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Like, are you guys able to live peacefully in your home with what's going on? Or is it through the practices that you do to help keep the peace?
Well, like I explained earlier, we had our issues here, and once we
Absolutely.
got rid of that,
Mm-hmm.
we realized that a lot of the spirits that we experience here, some were here before we even moved in,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
some are in visitation, and some are
Mm-hmm.
attached to us because of what we
Yeah.
do. And
Yeah.
they're here for a little while and then they move on. And my colleagues are going to, if any of my colleagues are watching the show, they're going to reach out to me afterwards. They think I'm silly when I tell this story, but
I'd love to hear it.
this is the story I'm going to tell. My background's all Celtic. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm into all of that. I'm into the elementals, and there are some
Love
bad
them.
elementals. But I have this beautiful garden in the front of my house,
Mm-hmm.
and there was this one area of the garden that it just didn't look good,
Mm-hmm.
and we were having some really weird things happen in the house. Um, and I happen to be out there, and I'm trying to make that part of the garden grow up, and I see this big rock in the middle of the floor, in the middle of the garden. I'm like, I've never seen a rock like that before. I pick it up, I call my wife out, and I say, "Do you know where this came from?" She goes, "Oh yeah, that's my wife lived in Hawaii for many years before she met me." She goes, "Oh yeah, that's the rock that I brought back from Hawaii and I carry it around with me." And I went, "Ah, you never bring anything." She didn't know this, but you never
Mm-hmm.
bring anything
Oh
off the
boy.
island
Yeah.
and bring there. So I didn't want to ship it back.
Mm-hmm.
I actually prayed over the rock,
Mm-hmm.
apologized for it being here, and I told it I'm going to move you to the nicest part of my garden, and I'm going to continue to pour holy water on you and pray over you and take care of you and put you in a really nice part of my garden. I'm sorry. And if that's not good enough, give me a sign. We'll ship you back to the island. So then what happened shortly after that was we had this huge tree that no matter what I did, and this was a time where things were weird in the yard where we kept things at bay. They couldn't get in the house and mess with us, but if you went into certain areas of my yard, it could be scary. Like our pool was drained, and something I couldn't see tossed me in the deep end of my pool once.
Oh
So
my gosh.
we very rarely go in the back, but we had this tree in the front yard, huge tree, And I did everything I could to try and get this tree to make it. And I realized it was dying. So then when it got to a point where it started to like lean towards my house, and if it had fallen, it would easily, well, we parked our car right there. It would take out the car. It would take out probably the whole master bedroom. And I was really worried about that. So what I did, and I still get teased by my colleagues all the time, I went out there and I got some indigenous blood running through my veins too. So I'm
Mhm.
taking when in Rome, I went out there. Sure, I did pray to the Holy Family and I prayed to God and Jesus and whoever else would listen. But I also prayed to whatever energies might be attached to this property that are good and want to help. Please don't let this tree fall on my house because it'll either kill my wife and I, it'll
Mhm.
kill our car, which is the only car we got. If it falls over on my neighbor's house, that's not going to be good. If it falls in the street, it's going to hurt a kid. Please help me here. So I dug this hole right by the tree and I put like candy in there and peanuts and money and holy water and some
For the
blessed
Fae?
ice
For the Fae?
and tobacco. And
Mhm.
I covered the hole up. I did a bunch of more praying.
Mhm.
We go to bed that night. Wake up in the next morning. I go outside. Now, there was quite a windstorm that night. And it sometimes gets pretty windy here in Las Vegas. And I thought, Sharon, this is probably the night the tree's going to fall. Let's sleep in the living room because
Mhm.
if it crashes, it's going to take out the master bedroom. I walk out there the following morning. Something had lifted the tree right up, straight up out of the ground, moved it over a little bit, and then gently laid it down back in the yard,
Wow.
facing the. It stopped short of my neighbor's yard, short of the sidewalk, so it wouldn't mess with any kids,
I'm
and
almost in tears. That's such a
just
beautiful.
to the left of my driveway, so it wouldn't hit our car. And there the tree laid in my yard. And so, you know, was it the power of thought? Was there some forces beyond our control that helped? Who knows? But that's what I did. That was the result. So I tell people we don't have all the answers. We don't know everything that's going on in the spirit world. Just don't provoke. Be a good
No.
person.
I have a
You know,
problem with that too. I always say you don't treat anything like that, especially like even say it's an earthbound spirit. Like, would you treat somebody like that standing in front of you? And most people would say, no, well, why would you do that to something you can't see that's not there? But please go ahead. I'm sorry. I
so
just
that
get really
you
passionate about that. Hmm.
I just tell people, listen, and it's just so basic. You don't have to be Catholic or even Christian. It's just basic common sense and common courtesy. Treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yes. Hmm.
You know, um, look at yourself in the mirror every morning when you wake up and pray that you can be the very best version of yourself that day, and then the next day and the next day and the next day, and just go through life helping people when you can. Don't hurt people. And just I mean, just basic common sense in the big scheme of things. We're all spirits. We just happen, we were spirit before we came into these bodies. We'll be spirits afterwards. And while we're here for this very short time, um, make the best of it. Life's so short. You don't need to be ugly, and so don't be. It's just negative. You're just feeding into that negative thing that we're all in agreement is that's it's taking over right now. We're feeding into all of that just even by your negative thoughts. A lot of people have addictions. Just
Hmm.
the addictions is feeding into all of that. I spent 20 years a raging alcoholic and drug addict, and it was only through extreme divine intervention that I went to bed one night, woke up the next morning, and it's been probably 20 years since I've had a drink or
Congratulations.
did any drugs. And my so I feel bad when people say, "Oh, that's all it takes." Well, I have prayed to God to help me with my addiction, and it didn't work. And AA sucks, and um,
You
Narcotics
know what
Anonymous
my thought
sucks.
is? I have been around it my whole life. I don't thankfully have those issues, but I came from a household with that partner, a whole bit. And the one thing I've always said is nobody wakes up one morning and says, or even growing up, I think I want to become an addict or I want to become an alcoholic. For whatever reason, I truly believe that somebody that is going through this has a pain in some way that nobody else can see, not necessarily physically, usually very emotional. There's could be emotional, could be spiritual, could be trauma, most likely, and whatever it is, it's personal to them. And like you said, when someone wakes up and they say, well, it'd be nice, if I could just pray and it would go away. But it takes a lot of courage, I think, to stand up and look at what's the root, what's the issue of all this, and want to get better, want to believe in themselves and that they can have a better life. And then, yes, you can pray for it, but if that was your road, right? But to find their road to health and hopefully peace and a much happier life. I really believe that.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe being a nurse, what these places are. What are the places? Most cities have them where you can go and get free health care. What are those places called?
I don't know because we're in Canada, so we people think we have free healthcare, but we don't. It's free to go if you're signed up, but
Well, if you can, I suggest to some of these people that don't
there's
want to
county
buy in.
hospitals depending on the state, as far as I know, isn't there? Like Medicaid and stuff like that.
I don't know, but a lot of people I tell, if you don't want
Michelle
to,
says community healthcare clinics. She lives in the state, so I'm not sure if that's what it is or not. You were referring to.
something like that where they can go and they can get free counseling
Yes.
and address just the issues you were talking about. They can get
Mhm.
those issues addressed. If they don't want to buy into the whole religion thing, then it's not going to work for them anyhow. But they need to talk to somebody
They need
to
to
help.
find the road to open those doorways to better life. And a lot of times people start to realize, right? It takes a long time for the brain to heal, especially, and the body. And then I find, and again, I'm not trying to get preachy here for anybody listening, but then once the brain starts to heal, there's a great channel on YouTube I'm going to share right now. It's called Put the Shovel Down, and it's a clinic in, I believe, in Atlanta. They've got a different way of dealing with addiction and alcoholism. And there's a video I've run across where her name is Amber. She's amazing. She compared, she said, none is better than the other, but the 12-step program, I think a cold turkey you're trying on your own, and this new one that's out there called the craft method. And she said they're seeing 61% success rate with it.
Oh,
But the
wow.
channel's beautiful because it supports you should you choose to want to stay in a relationship with someone. It helps support someone that's going through this. And it'll also help you support in many, many different ways should you choose that maybe it's time to leave. I've never found a channel like this before, and they offer so much for free. So if you know anybody out there, I strongly recommend it. It's called Put the Shovel Down. Amazing.
That's a great success rate too.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, sometimes if I know the person doesn't want to buy into the whole religion thing,
Hmm.
there's a church here in town where it's non-denominational
Hmm.
and they do baptisms. They completely submerge you in the holy waters, like back in the olden days
Hmm.
down at the river, And then they have support groups there. So if you want to attend a service, great. If you don't, you don't have to. But go get baptized. Even if you don't really believe in what's happening with the baptism, it's a great experience and it's a lot of fun and you're going to meet some really cool people. But then afterwards, look at their support groups
Yes.
and one may speak to you and then just start going there and meeting and talking to like-minded people that have been there, done that, gone through
You
what you're
know what,
going.
though, even what we've talked about tonight, you and I, how you got into the work that you are, and me sharing some of my experience with you, we get it. Like there's not even a need for words because we've both lived it. Not mine, nowhere near to what you have. But I mean, where I'm going with this, even though you meet people that say, "Oh, I don't do support groups. I don't need support groups," and I always say, why not just give yourself the opportunity just once? How do you know you're going to like something unless you give it a try? Just once. You don't have to say anything. But where I'm going with this is nobody's going to understand what you're sharing in a group like that unless they've gone through it themselves, right? And that's why they work. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michelle just said she loves Put the Shovel Down. I've told so many people about that channel. Was even at a Christmas party for my partner's new job. That last, I think it was last Christmas. Yeah, it was. And I never met this girl from a hole in the ground, and she just started talking to me. Their child, an adult child, all kinds of addiction, and I kept thinking, thank you, God, thank you, Spirit. Of course, right? They put strangers together for a reason. When you look back, there's always a reason, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that because that takes a lot of courage. And I think that gives people a lot of hope to hear your story. We're not done yet, but your story, what you've been through. And I'm sure we've barely reached the tip of the iceberg here, but thank you for sharing that because that's very personal. I think
Well,
that
there's a lot of people struggling with that right now. A lot of people that reach out to me. I get both worlds. I get the paranormal people, and I get people that are reaching out to me as a priest that
sometimes
just
they
want to
go
talk
hand
about
in
spiritual
hand.
issues.
Sometimes they go hand in hand, don't they?
Absolutely. Yes.
Mhm, mhm. So how did you we got about just under 15 minutes. So how did you guys get rid of what you guys how Sharon got so sick with what you had encountered? Are you able to share that, or is that like a whole
Yeah.
other show, or
Oh,
I'd love to have you
no.
back on.
My then mentor back when this happened with our home and Sharon. Um, it was just a lot of basic common sense stuff. Um, how to pray against these things, how to bless and cleanse your property, bless and cleanse your home. Um, things like you know turn on EWTN every morning when there's live Catholic mass. Turn on the mass, crank the volume up, play a lot of worship music in your home, get a wall crucifix up, get it blessed, get a wall crucifix up, and know how to use all the blessed incenses through your home and how to just change your life. There was a lot of stuff that my wife and I were doing, mainly me, even at that time, that I needed to change around. So there was a lot of lifestyle changes, um, religious belief systems. I kind of walked away from. At that time, I had walked away. I didn't realize I had walked away from it, but I wasn't going to church anymore. I wasn't praying like I should
Excuse me.
be praying, and it was just my wife is Lutheran and she's a Stephen minister in the Lutheran church. I didn't want to go to her church and I wasn't about to ask her to go to a Catholic church. Um, but we both respect each other's religious belief system. So there was a lot of learning how to do that and battle this thing and just continue to battle, battle, battle. And once I changed my life around and just stayed on a regular basis battling and battling and battling, these things eventually will move on to the next easy target. Why stay here and battle with you? I wasn't going to get, I'm already baptized Catholic. I wasn't going to get possessed. And they'd already done their damage to my wife and they moved on. But her illness was the residual effect of this attack on her. So basically, divine intervention. For me, it's just I couldn't have done it without the help of God, Jesus, my guardian angels, and everybody else that I know is up there watching over me that I asked to help. If it wasn't for that, it wouldn't have ended well at all. I know that for a fact.
No, I agree with you, and with every word you've said. And even I used to say years ago, and I call it standing in your dominion, and talked about it on different shows, that I believe. whatever people's belief and what they want to call it. I call it God in my words, but whatever your words are for anybody listening. But standing in your power, knowing that you are here and you've been blessed with, I believe, dominion. But you have to learn, you have to understand it and stand in it, right? And I always used to say that it was such a fine line between standing in dominion and fear, because you can't see where it's coming from, you can't feel anything, right? And I said if it was strong enough to throw a 175-pound man 15 feet across the kitchen, but once you start to work on that and you really stand in it, you realize that yes, I do, and I have angels behind me, and my, God, and I have a whole team behind me, and standing in that power, and again, not being arrogant about it in any way for anybody listening, but standing firmly in that belief. And I truly believe also that like attracts like, energy on this planet, even from your own experience. Of course, I can't put words in your mouth, but it sounds like the two of you were pulled together always, but also made shifts and changes that it's no longer even a match, or like you said, much simpler and easier. It's no longer fun for whatever was doing this, right? They're going to go somewhere where it's a lot easier for them.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
People have the power, and there's great power in prayer. There's great power in having strong faith,
Mm-hmm.
and once people realize that, um, they can make a dramatic turnaround in their situation if they're being tormented by these types of things.
Mm-hmm. I watched the Foreman brothers on Friday nights with YouTube. And the reason why I love them, I do believe they're genuine. Three brothers that went through this kind of stuff as little boys. I don't know if you've heard of them from Paranormal Nightmare. Yeah.
They've been around a long time. They've had that YouTube thing a long time.
Do you know
One of
why?
the brothers is Rocky, right? And there's
Josh and Shawn. And the reason why I really, really resonate with them is because they don't charge. And I'm not judging, but my point is, I believe they're very genuine with the fact that they don't charge people to go. They go, this is their job, to go help other families. And because they don't really do that much in the way of paranormal investigation, most of it is going to help families. And that's what it's about, I think, is, and the work you're doing too. And like I said, I really loved, and I pray that there's a second season of Eli Roth's The League of Exorcists, because that was fascinating to hear people's experiences and share them.
well, we all have our fingers crossed. It hasn't been canceled, but it hasn't been officially
I'm
been
crossing them.
canceled.
I binge watched. I really, really did, because
I still have people today. I didn't. What was that? That was August of last year that it premiered,
mhm.
and now it's streaming everywhere. And people are still discovering it today and reaching out to me and telling me how much they love the show and when there's going to be a season two. And I don't know what to tell them other than thank you for the support. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Can
I
we
don't
write
know.
in? Can we write in? Like,
Um,
where would we say
You
that the
can go to the Travel Channel website, and there's a
okay,
place to put a comment in
okay,
and talk about a show you like, and you would
okay.
like to see more seasons, that type of thing. There was actually even a fan of the show started one of those petitions, and
Oh, did we?
I'm trying to remember what the name of the website is.
Change.org?
Boom, there you go. There's a uh, season two for Eli Roth presents the Legion of Exorcists
Oh, I'll have to look it up. If I can find it, I'll
yeah,
post it. Mhm.
petition thing to sign. There's a lot of signatures on there, so I don't know if that helps or not, but
Well, I would hope it would, because like I said, my only complaint was that when episode 6 stopped playing, I'm going, what? There's no more episodes. So I would love to see season 2, and I'm sure many people would. It sounds like, I'll read that we're almost out of time. I hope I can have you back on. I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but I
well,
really enjoyed having
absolutely.
you on
Well,
here.
you're going to be coming on. I don't have the date in front of me, but you're coming on my show
In
too.
January?
Yep, I bet you that's it because when you and I first met, I had already had my show booked out.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. So
Yeah.
I'm looking
I
forward to that.
I'd
And
love to have you back on again, because I
you're
know.
also on a list of people. I know for a fact I put you on a list of people to go and look at if I get a last minute cancellation.
Always hit me up.
Somewhere in there, you're going to fall in if that happens. That doesn't happen a lot, but I do have that list. Those people have already been booked
Mhm.
also in the future, but I go to that list if I have.
You can hit me up. Fridays are a good day. Like Carrie Lynn, the last 2 weeks, there's been a scheduling snafu, and we've done it for 2 weeks in a row. And then the first week, Michelle DeRoche was in the chat. And we're going, why are you writing? Just come join us. So the three of us all did like this little paranormal panel. It was so much fun. So yeah, hit me up. I don't mind. Fridays are great days for me if you
Oh,
ever need it. Mm-hmm.
very cool.
So I'll just share this last comment. Heidi says, I have said out loud throughout my house, I am love, I am light, I am loved, I am protected. And knowing without a doubt in my heart and soul, light will win over dark. That's
That's
beautiful.
wonderful. That is beautiful. That's
And
wonderful.
I believe in it 100%. And everybody's saying thank you. They really enjoyed this. So tell us all about your show, where they can find you, your website, your books, everything, please, Father Shawn.
Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific, right here on the United Public Radio Network, is Father Sean's Paranormal Ministry, 2 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour-long show. I bring on people, wonderful people from our community like you, on to chat with them for about an hour. I got a great co-host, Annette Munich. She
She's
owns
awesome.
Stellium Books. She's my publisher. My website is www.ghost-b-gone.biz. If you go there and buy the books, they come autographed, enclosed in a house blessing kit, and part of the proceeds goes to help St. Jude's and the ASPCA. I have an online course people can enroll in there at the website. There's a place where you can make an appointment to speak with me. And if you're looking for a church that doesn't judge and accepts everybody, go to usocc.org or bishopjameslong.com. And on Facebook, we have a very large Facebook church page. We accept everybody, and that's called United States Old Catholic Church Clergy and Parishioners. And like I said, we don't judge. We accept everybody, and because it is what it is. And so, if you're looking for that type of church community, uh, you're welcome to come and check us out. And that's it.
And you'll be back on this Friday, you guys. So make sure to tune in. And again, thank you, Father Shawn. Don't go anywhere, please, but just hang out for 1 second. I'm going to tell you guys where to get a hold of me. I'm working on my website and it's coming, I promise, because I'm going to be teaching some courses in the new year. I'm just trying to put it all under one roof and hopefully a domain name. But right now, the easiest and fastest way, say you want to book a reading with me or Akashic Records, I do energy healing, I do crystal Reiki, teaching and mentoring. You can get a hold of me on facebook.com/the Angel Rock. But the fastest and quickest and easiest way to get a hold of me usually is Facebook Messenger. But I'm on all social media platforms, either under Lorilei Potvin or the Angel Rock. I have two groups on Facebook, Paranormal University for all things paranormal, and the Angel Rocker Tribe for more things spiritual. And then don't forget, Dave and I are going to be back this Thursday. We get to spend Halloween night with you guys too. We've already been talking about all that stuff. So we will be back 7 p.m. on Thursday live with the thing at the foot of the bed. Please don't forget to join our group. We have a group for the show too, because I show a lot of clips and pictures and all kinds of things. You guys can share anything you've got in there, show ideas, questions, comments, things you found, whatever. We're getting up there. We're almost at 200 because we just started it a couple months ago. So when we get to 200, Dave and I are going to start going live in there from time to time. Again, thank you so much, Father Shawn. Stay tuned for the next show coming up. I send you all so much love and light. We'll see you on Thursday. Okay, everybody. Love ya.
Bye bye, everybody.
Bye. Hang on. And